Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA with me, Seamus Brady and Luke Payton. In this video, we are going to be giving our roundup of all the action which took place in the Táilteann Cup 2022 over the weekend. Luke, first of all, your opinions on the Táilteann Cup. Obviously, the debate about the championship structure and everything like that. And a lot of people weren't happy that the senior, intermediate, and junior championship wasn't introduced as the structure. But with the Táilteann Cup, what do you make of it so far?
Yeah, look, I like it. I do actually like it, and I think obviously the structure of it this year was very rushed, and with what we kind of ended up this year, structure wise, obviously can be hugely improved going forward, and look, it will be improved next year going forward because I think we've already know that it's going to be groups of three next year as well, and that it'll be a similar enough structure to what we've seen kind of before in that's in like Joe McDonough's as well and stuff where teams will play each other three times and get out of groups, and we'll see like a bit more kind of to the competition than straight knockout. And look, they'll be getting rid of this kind of Ulster, northern, southern kind of thing that's going on this year as well. Because I do think that look, the fact that teams that have already played each other are playing each other again has kind of harmed it a little bit this year. I think look, it'd be fantastic if you could see some games, like if you could see Cavan playing teams that are further down south and everything as well. Cavan, or like if they got Wicklow, or if Offaly were up playing Antrim or something like that, some more novel parents of teams that just would never normally play each other. If we could see that going forward, I think that would really help improve it as well. But I know, look, I do like it, and I think every team that's entered it has given it a good old crack. And look, we've seen some surprises at the weekend, which we're going to get straight into. But I do think that the competition has shown a lot of promise, and like I think it's got a decent bit of coverage so far as well, and that it's captured a few people's attention. And once it gets to the semi-final stages where there's games in Croke Park as well, I think the interest will start to go through, start to be elevated more. And look, hopefully that keeps happening because like I do really enjoy it. And and they were good games as well. And look, that's half the battle, I suppose, is that you want games with equal opponents in it as well. If you have teams which are all at the same level as each other, it makes for great entertainment. If you have things as well, you talk about Leinster and Munster championships, it doesn't capture the public's attention really as much because you know what's going to happen 6 months in advance of it. So look, a good start, I think, and look, let's hope it keeps going that way.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's get into the games themselves. Obviously, the big shock, Carlow beating Tipperary 112 to 110. It was looking ominous for Carlow, that early goal from Martin Keogh. But really, the key moment, Conal Kennedy had a goal chance for Tipperary. It hit the post. Carlow went down the other end. Dara Foley tapped the ball down for Niall Hickey, who scored the goal for Carlow. Massive win for them, 112 to 110 over the 2020 Munster champions. Of course, a lot of players missing for Tipperary, but what a victory for Carlow. What a day for them.
Yep, absolutely. And I suppose in these situations, people often kind of look straight away and then say, like, what the hell went wrong with Tip? So I think it's important we say straight away, look, great win for Carlow. And look, after what's been a pretty unforgettable year for them so far, like a poor enough league campaign and look, a disaster in Leinster, they've look, they really needed that result, I think. And I don't think many people would have expected it whatsoever. You look kind of earlier on the year, I think when Tip beat them by 20 points in the league as well, that it's just some turnaround, I think, for Carlow there. And look, they're in the southern section of the Táilteann Cup is a lot kind of lighter, I think, than the northern half. So I think going forward they'll be pretty happy with where they are, and they'll give Westmeath a great good old crack the next day as well, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of Westmeath, they beat Laois by 113 to 13 points, compiling Laois's misery. It's been an awful year for them. I mean, relegated to Division 4, beaten out the gate really by Wicklow, who put 5 goals past them, and now knocked out of the Táilteann Cup by their neighbours, Westmeath. Westmeath, of course, getting their goal from Sam McCartan at a crucial stage when Laois had a 3-point lead at that point, and Westmeath went on to win it from there. Disappointing year for Laois all round, and Westmeath, in my opinion, one of the dark horses to win the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about McCartan, who had a really, really good game as well. They still have Heslin firing up there as well. They've got some, yeah, they've got some solid up players as well. Kevin McGuire and fullback's a very good player as well. So like I do think that look, Leeds should be kicking themselves based on that as well. Westmeath were down to 14 in the first half as well. And then look, I think everyone probably saw it back in the Sunday game. The red card that Leash got, it was a completely needless second yellow to give away. That's when you have an extra man as well, there's no need to haul a player down when he's just going to tap the ball over the bar. If you let him kick it over the bar and you play the remaining kind of half an hour with the man extra. So look, I think Leash considering that position and to give away a red card there when you've the extra man as well, they'll be fuming over that as well. But look, Westmeath finished far the stronger as well, and the fact that they did come back from a situation when they had a man less for about 15 minutes, and then ultimately kicked on at the end, finished far stronger. Look, they'll be delighted with that, and look for them. I think they would probably be the favourites in that section as well. And look, we'll be going on to Offaly now in a minute. I think it's between them and Offaly to reach the final from the southern side.
Yeah, agreed. And one of the other games that actually really surprised me, I thought Antrim were going to win this one. I hold my hands up. I thought Antrim were going to win this one. I predicted they would. I did think that Leitrim potentially had the better players, but I just thought Antrim had the better system. But Leitrim showed that the class wins out 214 to 112. They win by. And I didn't see this one coming. The goals coming from Shane Moran and from Jack Heslam, both of them at crucial times. At half time, Leitrim were 110 to 4 points up, absolutely beating Antrim out the gate. They hung on, and hung on is the wrong word to use. They coasted home to their victory. Antrim did give a little bit of a fight back, but Leitrim winning in the end by 5 points. I mean, bit of an easy day at the office for them, and I did not see this one coming.
No, yeah, look, I'd have to hold my hands up as well and say I didn't think it either. And even kind of when you say kind of Leitrim having the better players, I do. There's some really good players in that Antrim team as well, and that like Ryan Murray's as good a forward in Ulster right now. And look, you look at the form kind of throughout the league as well, and everything that happened for Antrim as well. That they just seem to be that they were kind of a step ahead of Leitrim at the moment. But look, it's a huge step for Andy Moore, and I think and there's an awful lot for him he's going to be able to build off. Based off this as well. They went into that game as well without O'Rourke in the forward line as well, who's absolutely key for them up there as well. And they were missing one or two others too, and they still went into it and won very comprehensively. And I tell you what, the game against Sligo now up in McDermott Park next week is going to be an absolute humdinger, and there could be a huge old crowd for that as well. This like the fact that these two teams playing with a chance of getting the Croke Park as well. Local derby up there as well. That could be that's probably the game I'm most looking forward to kind of tracking next week as well in the competition.
Yeah, that would be a banger of a game because Sligo and Leitrim, I mean, the rivalry there between those two counties, and now there's something serious to play for. I mean, in the Connacht Championship, it was always who's playing to get battered by Mayo or Galway, but now it's, who could potentially make it to Croke Park, where they would fancy their chances of beating whoever they play in the Táilteann Cup. That's the beauty of the competition. It's so evenly matched. Sligo did get their victory. They did it the hard way, beating London by 315 to 216. London, of course, had to take three different flights from three different countries. I mean, their squad is so spread out. They had two black cards in the game and two red cards in extra time. So London did shoot themselves in the foot. Sligo, on the other hand, did get lucky at periods. I thought Pat Hughes' goal was a bit of a soft one for London to concede. I thought Alan Riley was absolutely fantastic for Sligo throughout the game, though. And even though they won, Luke, would you be impressed with them? I mean, they hit 21 wides. They still crawled through by 2 points, but they didn't look that impressive, in my opinion. Or was it just that London were good?
Yeah, look, it's a hard one to know because I do think that Sligo on another day it should click better than what it did, and I do think on a day that you hit 21 wides that can be improved, and look, it will be improved the next day as well. The other thing as well, that was probably Niall Murphy's his quietest game as well. I think for Sligo, it's people are usually just kind of you can just put them down for 7 or 8 points a game, and look, I suppose Alan Riley had to step up, but there's no way the next day out that Niall Murphy would be that quiet again. So I do think that look, Sligo will improve on it as well. But look, going prior to the competition, I would have said that Sligo would have had a good old chance in the northern section. I thought it would have been them and Cavan that would have come out of the northern half. But now going into this based off that form. I think it's a 50-50 game between themselves and Leitrim going in. And look, although like based off kind of previous pedigree, you'd lean towards Sligo. All the forms pointing towards Leitrim at the moment. So it's just setting up to be a real humdinger of a game.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of Cavan, they wiped the floor with Down, 24 points to 112. Down only had 9 of the lads starting that were involved in the Monaghan game. There were no Kilcoo players as well for Down. They're all over the place. I mean, you talk about Eugene Brannigan's comments about, how he's never going to play for Down. All the Kilcoo players not involved. Caelan Mooney, Ryan McAvoy leaving the panel as well. Big players for them. And then they get beaten out the gate. They got that goal straight away from Donal O'Hare, but then Cavan racked off the next 6 points. They never looked like they were going to really realistically win that game. And yeah, I mean, shame really, because Cavan, but easy win for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, they're showing why they're the heavy favourites probably to win the competition. I think they probably have All Ireland kind of class in them, obviously not winning an All Ireland, but like they should be competing probably in the All Ireland competition with the players that they have. And look, I think that's the quality of player they have. Paddy Lynch, like Raymond Gallagher's performance as well, like was just sensational. Really, it was 6 points. You could pretty much say 2 penalty saves. Now the first one came back for coming off his line. Second one he got away with coming off his line. But look, any day that you save a penalty and kick 6 points it's a good old day for a goalkeeper as well. So yeah, look, ultimately a huge performance by Gallagher, and particularly you look further out the field with some of the qualities that they have out there as well. Like Paddy Lynch is a good forward that we've seen this year as well. Conor Moyne, centre half, Gallagher in midfield too. They're just a very strong side for this competition. And like I know you briefly commented there about what's happening up and down at the moment, but look, you just got to beat what's in front of you. And look, they emphatically enough put a big enough score pass down, and look, they progress on to the next stage here now as well. And look, I do think that they will take some beating in this competition.
Yeah, I agree. I put them as my favourites to win the competition. And after a performance like this, even though they beat a poor downside, it's still on paper a downside that that spent the spring playing in Division 2. So it's a good win for Cavan. Of course, the side that played in Division 4, you can put that on paper. The team that were playing in Division 4 have hammered the team that were playing in Division 2. They will both be playing in Division 3 next season, though, all things considered. Going into the next game, then, we're at the final 2 games of our Táilteann Cup roundup. The first one, Longford versus Fermanagh, a very nip and tuck game right up until the last few minutes. Fermanagh's key men came to the fore. Of course, that massive point by Ryan Jones from 45 metres out, that was a massive score for Fermanagh. And then Ultan Kelm, of course, returning from his injuries, scoring a last-minute goal, sliding it past Paddy Collum into the bottom corner to win the game for Fermanagh, really, in a tough away trip down to Longford. They win by 112 to 12 points. A real low-scoring game. At halftime, it was 6-4 to Longford. Fermanagh battled in and stayed in the game. And yeah, a good victory for Fermanagh away from home.
Yeah, and look, I think the key point to take from it for Fermanagh is the return of Kelm, and that, look, you saw the form that he was in previous years as well. He was bombed forward from wing back an awful lot in those games as well. To get him back into that team is it's a huge boost for them going forward. And look, like as you said, great win I think for them going down to Longford as well. And look, another team that probably needed a kind of a bit of a run this Táilteann Cup based on what happened up in Ulster this year as well. A league form that didn't really set the world alight this year as well. If they can get a bit of momentum going in the Táilteann Cup, like bit of positivity going into next year as well, though. So
yeah, I agree, and they have Cavan next, and I was saying that I actually think Fermanagh could be dark horses to win. I think if they can get past Cavan, like they have the players, like Sean Quigley, Conal Jones, and then you mentioned Ultan Kelm coming back. There's some serious talent there.
Yep, absolutely. And look, and you talk about they have that defensive kind of structure in this competition as well. Like if you can get a strong defensive structure, it's not the same quality of forward to pick you apart. And that if they can manage to restrain Paddy Lynch the next day out there as well, and say to Cavan, look, if we take away Paddy Lynch and Garrett McKiernan, you've enough to to score against us as well. So look, I think that's where they have to go with it the next day. I do think the Cavan have too much for them, but look, they will make it to put it up to them, and I do think it'll be a close enough game. I think the Cavan will come out maybe 5 or 6 points though.
Yeah, we definitely, along with the Leitrim Sligo game, it's the one to watch for me. Then the final game that happened in the weekend in the Táilteann Cup, Offaly beating Wicklow by 18 points to 10. Of course, this game, Offaly were picked by many to win this game. Of course, Wicklow have had a tough spell. I know that they beat Laois in incredible circumstances, scoring 5 goals that day, but that's a Laois side that are also in turmoil. Wicklow, of course, don't have the manager that they started the campaign out with. They started it out with Colin Kelly. Now Alan Costello is at the helm. Offaly, bit of a comfortable victory by the looks of things there. I mean, like, there was that chance for Kevin Quinn in the second half, the goal chance for him, well saved by Paddy Dunnican. But from early, for the last quarter, Wicklow didn't score a point from play. And yeah, in my opinion, relatively comfortable victory for Offaly.
Yeah, and look, I think that it's a job done for Offaly. Everything they had to do, they did. And look, I've been watching Offaly closely enough now for the last while. And look, I'd love to see them have a good run in this Táilteann Cup. And look, based on the decided draw they've come out with here as well, I do think, look, the next day out against New York, I think they'll beat New York. I think they'll beat them in a similar manner to what we saw at the weekend against Wicklow. Like, they're just, you listen to John Mahon after the game as well. They're kind of using it as an opportunity to blood under 20 players as well. Jack Bryant started in corner forward, kicked 2 points. Tynan got on in midfield as well. He was a key part of that 20 success. Rory Egan as well is playing wing back the whole time too. So they're slowly getting these players into there as well, and they're mixing them with the likes of Niall McNamee, Rory McNamee, Anton Sullivan, these kind of veteran players. Niall McNamee still kicking scores, although he did kick a fair few wides, I think, at the start of this one. But they are kind of mixing that young team in with the older players quite well. And look, that's a big plus this Táilteann Cup for them, is that it's kind of an opportunity to accelerate that process a bit more than what they would have normally had. And because there's a fair old gap in Offaly between the generation featuring McNamee and Sullivan and all these players coming through, so they really need to bridge that gap quickly. But look, good positive signs, and hopefully from an Offaly perspective they can get to a final. And look, based on the draw, they will have that Croke Park day, I'd imagine, barring a disaster against New York the next day.
Yeah, and so that's all our games finished. But just before we wrap up, I'm just going to ask you to give me your kind of power rankings for the last. I'm going to ask you to give me a top 3. I have probably one that you won't agree with. I have Cavan as my number 1, which I think you do. Then I have Westmeath as my number 2, and I'm actually going to put Fermanagh as my number 3. I think Fermanagh have a really good defensive structure, and I think potentially they could catch Offaly on the hop. But what kind of power rankings would you go with in terms of who's most likely to win?
Yeah, I'll go Cavan 1. I'm going to go Offaly 2 and Westmeath 3.
Yeah, interesting pick. And why would you kind of put Offaly above a team like Westmeath?
I'd probably bias that I support Offaly more so, and that I I want to see Offaly win. So no, I like Offaly's forwards, and I think that, look, they have a good setup there and everything as well. I think that, look, based on kind of the momentum they've had in recent years as well, that they had, I know they got relegated from the Division 2 this year and stuff, but they're up competing there as well. They're performing well in games too, and they're a really nice kind of promising young side as well. And look, maybe might be wishful thinking a little bit, but I'd love to see some of those players kick on and fulfill kind of the promise that they've shown and everything as well. And I think that, look, I think we're going to get that semi-final between Offaly and Westmeath. And look, I'm going to go put my head on the line here and say that I think that Offaly will edge that and get their day in Croke Park.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see anyway. So guys, that is the video here on Play on GAA. Hope you enjoyed. Until the next one, guys, take care.